Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. One of the biggest mistakes that many parents did during the time when Generation X kids were being raised was teaching them to go out here and get a job. Now, when it came down to many of the silent generation and greatest generation parents, they basically were just teaching us what they knew because in their time, all you did was go get a job for a company, and as you got that job, you looked to work at that company and be able to make a living. And when it came down to many foundational black Americans, these jobs were basically their opportunity to basically work their way out of the poverty that they were raised in. So I really don't hold it too much against those parents for trying to teach us to get jobs, but that has basically led to the entire black community being held back economically. Now, when it came down to the many of us young Gen Xers, we were raised with the mindset of, oh, go out here and get one of these corporate jobs, and it will be a sign of your success, when in actuality it was a sign of just us trying to seek out white validation and white approval and not look to go out here and work towards our own economic empowerment. No, what happened with many of us Gen Xers and even some millennials and even Gen Z is that we got programmed with the idea of working for a white corporation and believing that working for a white corporation would benefit us and benefit us because one, we would be validated by a white institution as really being somebody competent, and to be validated by that white corporation as being their standard of success. And that's basically what's really messed up a lot of us Gen Xers. It really messed us up because we basically bought into this whole ideal. I remember being in my late teens and early 20s. Again, my focus was always on getting one of these jobs and thinking that that was something important, when in actuality we should have been being taught to be like our grandfathers and great-grandfathers who were all understanding that we needed to focus on building our own economy and focusing on entrepreneurship. Because one of the worst things that happened to the black community after integration was that we lost our whole economy. We lost our whole economy because many of us got spellbound and got so caught up in fitting ourselves into the black boxes that were acceptable to white people that only places we wanted to go was continue shopping at the big white stores and the big white department stores, and didn't want to go shop with the brothers and sisters who held it down for us in our communities and held it down so that we could have a better quality of life. We basically walked away from all of those black-owned businesses in our communities. We walked away from our entire economic infrastructure, and even worse, we programmed an entire generation, starting with Generation X, to go out here and be part of a great American melting pot that really did not want to hire black people. No, the only thing that they wanted was basically to fit black people into their agenda of integration so that they could go out here and make money at our expense, but not look to make us a part of a greater American society. That's what happened with the whole thing with these corporate jobs. And again, these corporate jobs basically were all about, again, about not really giving a black person an equal opportunity. No, it really wasn't about an equal opportunity because just as we were getting programs like affirmative action, these same racists were undermining the black man by going out here and programming the black woman with feminist ideas, and also going out here and again openly discriminating against that black man by hiring that black woman. And as they hired that black woman, they could emasculate that black man who they basically kicked out of many homes, who was out here basically trying to maintain his family. What a lot of people don't understand is a lot of black men were out here trying to maintain their family on the few jobs that they could get. And what happened because of Jim Crow before integration was that many of these black men walked on eggshells at these jobs because they could be fired for any reason if they did even do anything. I mean, just some white man having a bad day, or a white man basically couldn't find any more everything bagels at the corner coffee shop. These could lead to a black man being fired and basically lead to that black man basically having to try to find a way to make a living. That's what was really bad about the job market for black men. And again, when it comes down to our kids, we were programmed to think, oh, we can get one of those jobs, especially young brothers like myself. We were taught, oh, you can go get one of those jobs. But when I entered that job market, I found a rude awakening. Again, like I've said before in previous videos, again, they only hire black people for agendas. And again, their agenda was to prove that they, again, would passively say that they are not racist, but actively were looking to prove the axioms true that were connected to old racist stereotypes in the Jim Crow South about black people being lazy, black people being incompetent, and black people, again, not being able to do the job, when in actuality, foundational black Americans were the ones who actually built this country. And foundational black Americans, sadly, even though we built this country, still got caught up and bamboozled into, again, thinking jobs were the thing in the 80s and the 90s, when in actuality we should have been thinking about going back to the standard of our grandmothers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers as related to entrepreneurship, because we need black-owned businesses to build a community. And sadly, because we walked away from our black-owned businesses, many of our young brothers and sisters of Generation X, a lot of us didn't get jobs that would basically start our careers, jobs in places like stores, like the local corner grocery store or the local hardware store or local shop. And that made it harder for a lot of brothers to enter the job market in their 20s after we got our college degrees and high school diplomas. It made it just that much harder for a lot of black boys and a lot of black girls, because the generation before, walked away from black-owned business. And as they walked away from black-owned business, they walked away from the stepping stones we needed to be able to step into any other careers or be able to get the seed capital to start our own businesses. And what's even worse is that as we walked away from the businesses in our communities, what happened is that other people came in, like Puerto Ricans came in and took over our grocery stores. Dominicans basically took over our barbershops. Asians took over the novelty stores and the hair stores. And basically everybody was out here setting up shop in our community, taking our money, and again taking 97% of our dollars out of our community, while the black pastor got the 3%. And our community basically has suffered ever since we followed this standard set up by integration and followed to the letter by many generations before us. And sadly, as we followed this pattern, basically what has happened is, again, many of us Gen Xers never really got that opportunity to, again, be able to go out here and have the abundant life I believe God wanted us to have. No, a lot of us never really got those good so-called jobs, and basically a lot of us were stuck, again, being like our parents, our grandparents before us, again, drifting from job to job with our whole financial futures, again, at the tender mercies of white supremacy, instead of it being solidly established by us, for us for generation to generation. Again, one of the biggest economic mistakes I believe we made was drinking the poison Kool-Aid of integration, drinking the poison Kool-Aid of integration, and again, thinking that white acceptance was more important than black financial empowerment. That was one of the big mistakes we basically made, was thinking, oh, we can go out here and have a better future by working at these white corporations. And sadly, what has happened is that now that those white corporations have gained economic power, any black person who talks about entrepreneurship has been treated like a pariah, and even worse, many black men like myself who have to go out here and work for themselves, when we try to enter the job market, what happens to us is that we get told that our experience is not real experience, even though we have the same experience as white people. And those white and non-black people, they can go out here and have a business, and if they even have a business or a side hustle, they're told it's okay for them to get a job, but that black person couldn't get a job even with any experience or no experience at all. Nobody's opening doors for young black people. And that really is why it's so hard for black people to get jobs, because we didn't focus on taking care of our economic business, because we got caught up in the social acceptance game. And as we got caught up in the social acceptance game, we got caught up in looking to be accepted by white people and put being accepted by white people as more important, and again, social status as more important than black financial empowerment. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct Imprint, my business, you can pick up those books on Amazon.com, and those stories feature positive images of foundational black Americans, and some, like my book, A Recipe for Success, focus on black-owned businesses working with black-owned businesses to improve the quality of life in the black community. And if you want to continue to see me make more videos, you can drop a donation to the PayPal or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteemed series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.